you need to know your demons so you know how to do battle with them. And your demons are whatever is creating, and when I really thought about it, those demons are so important in your life. And I said to myself, rather than fight them, I embrace them.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast. When you move forward, fearing failure means that you're destined to stagnate in the same place forever. No strategy ever goes 100% as planned. The twists and turns along the road to success is long, windy, and treacherous. That journey is painful and difficult. With each new step, there's a voice over your shoulder calling out, "Why don't you just quit?" Or, "Is there an easier road if you turn the other way?" The only absolute way to not reach your goals is to give up. The resilience to keep going is reserved for those who believe they are never out of the fight. To keep moving forward, no matter how many times you get knocked down. Albert Einstein writes, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and welcome to the Suffering Podcast. If you're a fan of overcoming adversity and overcoming suffering, then we're for you, because that's what we do here and that's the stories we highlight. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, please comment, and now you can join. Don't forget to ring the bell so you can get notified of all of our new content, and follow us on all social media so you can find out what we're up to. On tonight's episode of the Suffering Podcast, this is one I've been waiting for quite a while because he's one of my newest recent friends who I've become connected with, and that's Paul Martino, to discuss the suffering as success. But it wasn't always that way for Paul, and we're going to get into it.
And Paul, I want to thank you too, because Kevin needs as many friends as he could get.
I'll
pick them up wherever I can because I lose them faster than I can get them. Before we get into anything, let's throw a big shout out to our marquee sponsor. That's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody as police, but we do trust them. So go to toyotahackensack.com and let them find you a car. By the way, somebody came up to me the other day and they said, "So Toyota, you don't trust anybody, but you do trust Toyota of Hackensack," because apparently I say the same damn thing every single time.
Every week.
So, Paul, each week we take a question from our audience. This one comes from Soupy_Dales. I guess that's like Soupy Sales. We're coming to the end of the year. By the time this show airs, it's going to be pretty much the close of season 3 of the Suffering Podcast and the beginning of season 4. So what's your number one goal for this year, 2024?
First, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. It's something that I've had many goals and I've accomplished them. And 2024 is really new territory for me. I just sold my company and I'm looking for my new goal. And for me,
podcasting.
It's really just to show the best version of myself, really to be the best version of myself.
What does that look like for you, the best version of yourself?
A lot of times for me, I have employees and family and people and things, and I forget about me. What's the me look like? Retirement. Everybody said you should retire and do this and this and this. And when I really sat down to look at it, it didn't fit me. So I was trying to fit myself into something I wasn't. And then I came to the conclusion to just be the best version of me. What's that mean? If I want to go fishing, I'll fish. If I want to work hard, I'll work hard. If I want to hug my kids, I'll hug my kids.
If I want to lay in bed all day, I'll lay in bed all day.
I'll lay in bed all day, but guilt-free. I don't want the guilt. I don't want that back and forth. Should I, could I, just to be able to be in the moment and enjoy that moment for what it is.
It's funny. We beat ourselves up every day, trying to get ahead, trying to do this, whether it's make more money, do more. And you never really sit back and look at yourself and your inner happiness.
No, we're groomed that way. When I think about things and look at over all the years I've been in this, I've been doing business 35 years in this business. But the one thing I learned is that the thoughts create the words create the actions become your habit, and the habit becomes your character. I made myself this. My thoughts every day, my actions every day created who I am.
Yeah.
It became, but it's a good and bad thing. Like I have a lot of good traits that I did with that, but I also have, some bad ones. So
it wears you down.
It wears you down because, as you start getting older, you start realizing what's important. You make goals, you meet goals. To be true to yourself is tough. They don't teach you that.
But like being a business owner, I'm sure you have a lot of employees who have families and who have kids, and now you're looking out for them. You know, it's not only about you; it's about your company family.
Well, that's what happens. It becomes more about everybody else and less about you.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I did take care of everybody else. I mentored them. I trained them. And I always believe the only way to keep it is to give it away. I don't care if it's money, time, sobriety, whatever it is. And I've given that to them. But as I get older, my dad's still alive. He's 87. God bless.
God bless.
Him. And he's overcome so many obstacles. About 6 months ago, they gave him a week to live. And he made a full recovery. He's a miracle man. But it's precious. I could buy anything I want. I have the money, but I can't buy time.
Yeah.
So I was just watching that Sylvester Stallone documentary on Netflix, and it's a fantastic documentary. He said something that was so profound, and it's coming from Sylvester Stallone, who you think is an idiot, but he's really not. He's actually a pretty intelligent guy. He says life is addition up until about the age of 40, and then it's all subtraction. You start to your kids move out. You know, you start to lose friends. You lose your parents. You lose this. You lose this. And, you know, but you're just trying to hang on to what the addition was in the first 40 years of your life, you know, the back nine of your life. I don't know. That struck me when he said that.
That really is deep and it's big. And that's why I say, you know, shows like this and feeling the way I feel about life and about giving it back, it adds to my life. You know, when you're able to help somebody or you say something that somebody said, wow, you know, that I get it. They had that aha moment. That keeps you motivated. You know, I don't want to be that guy to just drive and blow away and wind up on a golf course. And there's more to life than that, you know, and the key is to give it away and be part of. And this show for me, I'm not a speaker. Okay. I haven't spoken in years since AA in my home group. And I've always wanted to. Like, I think I have a great story to share with people. I know somebody's light will go on. Not maybe everybody, but there will be somebody. And if I can help somebody, I did a good thing.
Well, that's why we do this show. Just if your story reaches one person, then it's all worth it.
You did your job.
You try to cast that wide net, trying to catch that one fish that needs it the most. Mike, what do you think?
You know, like I said, I like Paul said, it's just really finding that inner happiness. You know, going through what we've been through, you never really have. You're always looking out for other people and helping other people. I just want to be secure in myself. You know, next year, that's one thing I want to try to do. Just realize who I am and what I am, realize what I'm not, and just take every day as it comes.
Mine sort of piggybacks on yours, believe it or not.
And I thought mine piggybacked on Paul, so
we're piggybacking on each other.
It's a roundtable discussion.
There are times in our life, we just spoke about this before we went on air. There are times in your life where your ego gets too big, and you don't even realize it's happening. It kind of like creeps up on you like a specter in the night. And your ego gets so big, and then something needs to humble you to bring you back down to reality. There are times when I'm very humble, and then there's times when my ego gets out of control. So my goal for 2024 is to check my ego, to have somebody near me tell me when you're a little out of control, your ego's a little bit too big. I'm a work in progress. I think we all are works in progress. And I'll never stop working on myself.
You think at our age we'd fine tune it by now?
No, because here's what's happening. It's like trying to reach the perfect level of music, right? You go up and up. That sounds pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. And before you know it, you can't hear, and you got to turn it down again and start all over.
The funny thing for me, I was at a flea market with my nephew, and I see this girl, and she painted these little signs, and this one jumped at me. And everybody must have heard this before. Life is a journey, not a destination. So I always strive to be perfect. I always strive to be the best version of Paul. But in that journey of always looking for what's wrong, I forgot about what's right. So I'm always faulting myself. And then one day, and recently, I guess, Kevin, probably the last time I saw you, I really started thinking because, you know, you always want to say something profound and do all this stuff. And you know, the only profound thing I can honestly say for myself is that I'm out of a rehab, and January 10th, I celebrated 35 years.
God bless.
Congratulations.
So success is how you see yourself. It's not your money. It's not your things. It's not what you do. It's how you see yourself. And you know, I wanted to give back to the audience, something profound to take away. But when I look at myself, that is about the most profound thing that I could talk about. But when it came to ego, I realized that in looking to get better, I never stopped to smell the roses. So that's when retirement came in. It really would. So for me, it was the best version of me for that. And I lost my ego a long time ago in the rehab. They humbled me.
Yeah, when I went to rehab, your ego gets dropped as soon as they make
Oh.
you bend over and spread your cheeks. Make sure
I-
you're not smuggling anything in.
That was it, and I always said when I got out of the rehab and I started working the program, I always said, you need to know your demons so you know how to do battle with them. And your demons are whatever is creating, and when I really thought about it, those demons are so important in your life. And I said to myself, rather than fight them, I embraced them. I stopped the battle.
Dude, you've read our mission statement, correct?
No, I'm sorry.
You pretty much just said it. You have to embrace your suffering, because without suffering, you will never know anything great in this life.
Well, that pain, that pain's necessary because it sucks and nobody wants to be there. You're not going to hold your hand on a fire.
And it grounds you.
You're going to figure a way. Not that I embrace pain, I'm not afraid of it. It doesn't scare me anymore. And again, when you talk about finding yourself, I really like myself. I've worked hard at understanding that all of those demons that were there were there. So here's an example. This is going to be a little weird. I always loved the mafia movies, the mafia guys. I grew up in Bloomfield. I was that, a wannabe wise guy kid.
Cruising through Brookdale Park.
You were there. Now I know why you look familiar. But the key to all of that was that, when I really started to look at it, I lost my train. I lost my train of thought, you son of a gun.
Well, tell us where you grew up. So you said you grew up in
Well, I
Bloomfield.
grew up in Bloomfield, not far from Brookdale Park.
So what was the atmosphere like in Bloomfield at the time?
I just want to start with my family, because a lot of people blame their family for things that happened. It was my dad did this, my mom did that. I had a great family life. I have 2 brothers and a sister. I have my mom and dad. We had a dog. We lived in Bloomfield. My house was 15 feet wide by 45 feet long. We had 1 bedroom till my sister came, so we remodeled that in addition. But all of that was happy days, normal. I cannot pinpoint. I never got hit. I got punished, and I managed to manipulate my way out of that. But it was just the neighborhood. When you went outside, whoever was outside was your friend. You learned to make friends easy. You learned to adapt to whatever it was. So yeah, growing up was really good. I was always the biggest, the fastest, the most athletic. 8th grade, I was 5'11", 185 pounds, shaving almost every other day.
So it came easy to you.
Came easy.
And that's the worst thing possible, when it comes easy to a kid and they didn't have to work for it.
Yep.
Because you just squander it.
You do, and I won every event. If you came in second place, you were high-fiving yourself, and what happened is, because I was big and I did a lot of these things, like the older kids that would play, here I am, maybe 12 years old. These kids were maybe 17, 18 years old, hanging out. The ball would go up on the roof, and I would scale the drain pipe and go up to the roof. Wow, that kid's cool. So I became like a mascot to them. There's where the trouble started. There's where the ego started. There's where the need to be accepted, So I shied away from my friends, hung out with these older guys who were already doing things that I didn't even know existed.
And now you're an even bigger hero to the kids your own age, because you're the kid hanging out with the older guys.
The older kids.
Yeah.
And it feeds the ego.
Feeds the ego big time. So with that big ego, I did a lot of things, they would ride sissy bike wheelies and they were so cool. I mean, I idolized these guys. In looking back, and I never said this out in public, I've never said this to anybody. I said it one time in the rehab. But the most traumatizing thing, if I were to say, what was a defining moment in your life that led you to be where you were in those problems, was we were hanging out at the school and all the kids were there, and I was up on top of the step. There were about 7 steps. And the ringleader of those kids, they were, we're joking around, horsing around, pulls my pants down. Pulls my pants down. I'm I'm 12 years old.
Nowadays, that's sexual assault.
You got pantsed.
Right now, I have goosebumps up and down my spine because I remember that moment like it was yesterday. I was humiliated. I was embarrassed. I couldn't tell anybody. So I didn't go around, so now you want to even feel more important, like you still search for something else. So that was I was 12, my 13th birthday. I kind of like hooked up with these kids again a little bit, and I tried to put that past me. You tried to bury it. You didn't want to acknowledge it. You wanted to feel part of them. My 13th birthday, I took my first 2-in-all, which is a downer, smoked pot, and drank.
13 years old.
13 years old to fit in. Hey, this kid's cool. Here, try this. Not thinking, I didn't know. And so I'm late for my birthday party, and I run down the street and I fall, and I'm all banged up. And I walk in the house, and my mom goes, "You look funny. What's wrong with your eyes?" And I said, "Mom, I must have had a concussion. I fell." And so here I'm master manipulator at 13 years old. So not only did I do that, I got away with it. And then I used all these excuses. So I learned to manipulate systems.
Let me ask you a quick question on a side note. You have children. We all have children. There are things you did at 13 years old that, it seemed normal at the time, seemed like something cool to do at the time. Then all of a sudden there comes a time in your life when you're older and your kids hit 13 years old. Because I got my first tattoo right here I did it with a needle and ink, 13 years old. And my son turned 13 and I go, "Oh shit."
That's an oh shit moment.
I go,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, he's the same age I was when I did this. What if he does?" Like, did you get that with your children?
No, I'll tell you why. As I went through my life and I look back, I needed all of those things in my life to make me who I am today. All my screw ups, all my everything. If I didn't rob that car and hit the fire hydrant and do that, if I didn't get busted in high school, like these are all things that I needed to happen to be here today. I don't interfere with them. So what I do with them is I believe in thoughts, okay? Thoughts create the words and all that stuff. So I believe in affirmations. What I say for me is true for me, okay? I have 3 commandments I live by. Desire it wholeheartedly, believe in it wholeheartedly, and just expect it because it'll happen. So with that being said, I've always had a mindset, these same kids taught me how to do hand levitation. I don't know if you ever did hand levitation. So Fat Eddie's sitting on the ground. He weighs about 300 pounds. And
well, listen, they're from Bloomfield and they have nicknames.
Fat Eddie,
everybody's
Jimmy Shoes.
Yeah, everybody's got it. So Fat Eddie's laying on the ground, and there's 6 of us. 1 at the feet, 1 at the head, 2 on each side. And he does this little mantra.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've done that.
So we do. He looks light. He looks as light as a feather. And so he's putting you in a meditative state. It's the end of the day. The sun is going down. You're like that relaxed state. And he puts you through this little mantra. He said, he's as light as a feather. On 3, lift. And we lift. Our eyes are closed. We lift. I open my eyes. Fat Eddie's about 1.5 feet off the ground. Of course, you freak out. You drop him. It's like, oh, my God. That is another defining moment in my life because I realized the power of the mind. So I would go to my friends and say, "I'll bet you $10 I could pick that car up and turn it sideways in the street." So I would get behind a car. I'd do that meditation. I'd pick it up. I'd turn it sideways in the street. 13, 14 years old. So now I became that kid. Everybody wanted to fight. So that's a whole nother world that happened. But back to my kids, I give them what I call stress inoculation. Okay. So my wife and the kids were having issues, and she had all girls. She didn't know what boys were like. So I take them to a counselor because I believe in counselor. We're not unique. Everybody has a problem. You got to solve it. So we go to a neutral party. Well, the kids wind up attacking me. "Dad, you lecture. All you do, everything's a lecture. Every time we're something, you have a better way," and blah, blah, blah. So I stop and I'm devastated. And I tell them, I said, "Boys, I apologize. Your dad's sorry. I never meant it to be like that." The next day I see him. I go, "You know what, guys? I want to talk about what happened. And why I'm the way I am." I said, "You're," whatever they were, 14, 15 years old. I said, "You know shit. You know nothing. You're clueless. You're a blank screen." I said, "All your dad tries to do, like when you go for a flu shot, they give you a little inoculation to help you have an immunity. I'm trying to give you immunity to learn you have something to base your decisions on. So this is what I did, and this is what happened. It gives you a reference point." So when you go through your life, I just try to give you these reference points to make your own decision because I'm not going to be there to tell you.